I want to welcome you and say thank you for coming tonight. I don't know about all of you, but I am feeling pretty lucky that we live here and not in the northwest where they are burning up and in the southeast where they've got way too much water. So obviously we're not out of the woods, but a great place to live, don't you think? Yeah. All right. Okay. So I want to first give a very special thanks to Tasman's Organics and Cosmic Kitchen for their community support of tonight's meeting. And then also Conifer Area for providing the bottled water. So how many of you that are here tonight have been here before to a town hall meeting? Okay, so I don't need to tell hardly anybody this, but our speakers tonight have been asked to present just the facts. No opinions. They're not in support or opposition to any development or candidate or political, any type of issue or anything. And so most of you have been here many times, so you know that we have no questions or comments during the presentations, but there are cards and pencils on the table back there if you want to jot anything down. Write those questions down because the speakers will stay afterwards to answer anything you would like them to. So, what's going on around here? Lots. There's an awful lot going on. First of all, I'm going to have Melanie Swearingen come up and talk about the Conifer Area Chamber. Melanie.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Melanie Swearingen. I'm the Executive Director at the Conifer Chamber of Commerce. I've been there for almost 3 years now, and I'm going to turn the mic over to our current board president, Eli Martinez with Remark Designs, and he's going to give you an update on the chamber.
Thank you very much, and good evening, everybody. This is actually the second time I've been to town hall meeting, and very informative. It's a good thing to do. Just wanted to update you on a few things here at the Chamber, or Conifer Chamber, what we're doing. Just want to let you know that 335 members is what we're up to right now. So we really appreciate everybody's membership and everything that they do. See, the Conifer Chamber has been serving the businesses for over 40 years, which that's a long time. Let's see, what we got going on? Let's see. We're having the October Beer Fest this weekend. Just want to make sure everybody's invited and hope you show up. It's going to be held at the Brooks Tavern. It's held from 1 to 4 p.m. Tickets are online right now for the event at goconifer.com. Morrison Evergreen Body the new owners of the Morrison Evergreen Body Shop is the sponsor. Also going on, we have the Festival of Trees, weekend before Thanksgiving. Stay tuned for more details on this. And coming up also is the 35th Annual Christmas Parade. Woo! Yes. The theme for this year's parade is Christmas Past and Future, and this is sponsored by Remax. And with all these events that we have going on, I'm not sure if you know her or not, but we have a young lady in the back by the name of Melissa Baker. She is our coordinator for a lot of these events, and she does a fabulous job. So if you have a chance, if you would have a chance, just say thank you to her. She does a great job and does a lot for the community and everywhere. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, Eli. And next we have Jenna that's going to talk a little bit about what is going on at the libraries, more specifically the Conifer Library. Jenna.
Hello. So my name is Jenna Darty. I'm the Patron Experience Supervisor at the Conifer Library. And I just wanted to give you an update about what we have going on. So right now we're really focusing on early literacy, so specifically children ages 0 to 5. We have a great event coming up this Saturday called Raise a Reader, and it's full of fun activities that parents can do with their kids to help them get ready to learn to read. So that is this Saturday from 10 to 2. We also have a cool new program starting that's called 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. So our goal is that all children will have read at least 1,000 books by the time they begin kindergarten. So come on into the library and we can tell you more about that. We have a great exhibit of local art that's going on right now that was created by participants of our Art House program. So if you are interested in becoming a better artist, come to the Art House. It's every other Tuesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. And we have a cool program coming up in October, getting ready for Halloween, called Psychic Medium Afternoon. So you can come and learn about developing your own mediumship skills, and possibly even get a free reading. One other thing I want to tell you about is called Stouts and Stories, Ales and Tales. So that is a program that we're doing countywide. It's a celebration of craft beer in Jeffco. So come into the library and pick up your passport. If you visit 3 libraries, you get a cool prize. Or sorry, not libraries, breweries. Come to the library too. If you visit 6 breweries, you get a beautiful custom pint glass. So come check that out. And we are always interested in learning what the community wants. So please come talk to me or stop in at the library and tell us what you're interested in. We would really like to offer what you want to see. So thank you.
Thanks, Jenna. Next, we have our CEO from Mountain Resource Center, Lori McLeod, and our Special Events Coordinator, Lisa Nisley, to talk about Mountain Resource Center. Lori.
Thank you, Shirley. Good evening, everyone. Living in an unincorporated area such as we do, and without government type services, it's vital that we support our nonprofits. Nonprofits in this area really provide much needed services to our community. So Mountain Resource Center has been providing services in this area for 27 years. And last year we provided over 1,500 or 15,000 services to 1,500 people in our community. Our neighbors who need special services such as basic needs, food pantry, family education, public benefit enrollment assistance, workforce development, financial coaching, veteran support services, and mental health services. So as an agency, we really are one of the major hubs in this community. So I would like to really invite all of you to become part of our vision, which is Neighbors Helping Neighbors. And Neighbors Helping Neighbors, this could really be an act of volunteering. And last year we had over 11,000 hours of service from our volunteers in this area. We had 266 volunteers. Also, there's another way that you could be a neighbor helping neighbors by supporting us with donations. That could be cash, it could be food, it could be clothing for our resale store, or actually attending one of our fundraising events and maybe painting a bowl for a fundraising event. So I would like to introduce you to Lisa Nisley, who is our Special Events Marketing Coordinator, who will tell you more as to how you can get involved with our fundraising events.
Thank you, Lori. Like Lori said, we do rely on our amazing community members for your support. We are funded by some grants, but we also utilize these fundraising events that we hold annually to really try and bring in that extra effort and really help fund these amazing services that we have. And so with that being said, we have 2 really great events coming up. One is our 3rd annual Bowls After Dark Evening Gala. What this is more of, we're trying to make it a little upscale, but nothing too fancy. It'll be held at Mountain Vernon Country Club. And what's amazing about this event is we were able to score Mark Kobrick, the former 9 News anchor, as our MC and auctioneer. And he's been fabulous in helping with this event. And he's also been able to help us get a one-of-a-kind donation. It's a United Flight Simulator experience that we're going to be raffling off, or auctioning off, I should say, at our event, along with lots of other things from small to very large art, vacations, things like that at the event. But the event is really nice. It encompasses, I'm sure everyone in the community is one time or another seeing a sign that talks about mountain bowls, or what used to be called empty bowls. And it's really about filling the need in the community. So it might just be painting that bowl, which helps support this event. And with that, we then donate these bowls to the event. People can take that, and it's kind of symbolic to the event and what it stands for, of just that need that people may not necessarily always be aware of in the community. But the event is going to be a lot of fun. It is advertised on our website at MRCCO, where you can actually, or mrcco.org, where you can buy tickets. Like Lori said, if you can't attend the event, paint a bowl, you can make a donation, or you can just volunteer your time. That's just as valuable as a monetary donation. And then our other event is our Mountain Bowls event that is at Aspen Ridge Church at the Marshall Roundabout on October 17th. So the first event is the 28th, which is a week from tomorrow. And the other is October 17th, it's a Tuesday. There's a lunch and an evening. So it's a little more family oriented, a little more laid back. Come in, have some lunch, have some dessert, get a bowl, and give back. So that's what our events are about, and we appreciate, like Lori said, we appreciate the community support. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa and Lori. And they will be sitting right over here if anybody is interested in purchasing tickets tonight. They can do that for you. So next, as we all know, there's so much going on in the community, but one thing is the Kings Valley Shopping Center and the road right there, which is very hazardous. And so we have Jana Spiker here tonight to just give an update of what is going to be happening with that intersection. Jana.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Jana Spiker, and I'm a resident engineer with CDOT for Jefferson County. And tonight I'm here, like Shirley said, to give you an update on what's going on in the Kings Valley area. Last spring, when I was here, we had met and talked. CDOT was just getting a consultant on board who we brought with us this evening to start looking at alternatives that would achieve eliminating the left-hand turn from Kings Valley onto 285. So during that process, we developed approximately 11 alternatives, looking at ways to accomplish that. When we started getting further into the analysis of these alternatives, we realized that each one of these alternatives had at least one fatal flaw to construct or property impacts, other feasibility issues. So based on that, what CDOT has chosen to do is take the funds that we've identified for design and have Stanley Engineering proceed with designing the full interchange at Kings Valley that was identified in the US 285 EA. So that should construction become available, we were ready to go and hit ground with that. Just so you know, the interchange is currently estimated to cost approximately $10 million. The associated widening of 285 would be an additional $20 million approximately. So based on that, we're going to look at options to phase construction so that if funding comes in smaller amounts, we can go ahead and build what we can with that funding. So we have brought illustrations of all the alternatives that we analyzed, as well as what we're completing design on for the full interchange. So if you want to come look at those or have any questions, please feel free to stop by and we'd be happy to talk with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jana. And like I said, there is so much going on in Conifer, a lot of pre-applications in the county, a lot of things being suggested anyway. And this is where you come in because you need to be involved in the future of our Conifer area. So Heather Gutherless and I think two of the other case managers are coming up to talk a little bit about some of the cases that are either pre-applications or they've already gone partway through the county. I think we have a PowerPoint, and here you go.
I'm Heather Gutherless, a senior planner with Jefferson County Planning and Zoning, and with me tonight is Anna Gibson, who is another planner, and Mike Madrid, who is another senior planner at Jefferson County Planning and Zoning. Thank you everyone for coming tonight. It's always great to see so many people involved in the Conifer community. We go out to a lot of meetings like this, and Conifer is always the one with the biggest turnout for community associations. So congratulate yourself for being so interested in your community. What is going on in Conifer? There are 17 current cases that have been filed with planning and zoning, so there's a lot. There's more than I anticipated when Shirley initially asked me. Tonight, before we get into some of the cases, I'm going to go through some of the processes so that you're familiar with some of the terms, the processes that we go through in planning and zoning, so that as we go through the cases, you have a little bit better understanding of what we're talking about. The first process that I'm going to talk about is our pre-application process. And that is a very preliminary process. It is a time when they have an idea for what they might want to do with their property, but they're not sure what the issues might be, what might be involved in doing it. They can come to the county and do the pre-application. This is a time where even if you don't own the property, maybe you have it under contract, you can see what the issues are and see if you want to move forward with purchasing the property. Some of the things that are looked at the time of pre-application are whether there's any big infrastructure projects that need to be done, like are there big road improvements, are there big drainage issues that will be affecting the property? How does the land use comply with the comprehensive master plan's land use recommendations for the area? Like I said, since it is very preliminary, we actually see about 40 to 50% of these cases don't end up moving forward to a formal application. Next, I'll talk about a process that is a formal application process, our rezoning process. Zoning is the uses that are allowed on an individual property. It might be agricultural, it might be residential, commercial, institutional, like a church, could even be open space. Those are all of the different types of uses that could be in a zoning. When somebody wants to change those allowed uses, maybe they want to go from a residence to a retail shop, then they have to go through the county's rezoning process. This is a pretty extensive process, one of our more extensive ones for community involvement. Before someone can even submit the rezoning application, they need to have a community meeting. This community meeting is open to everybody so that they can hear the proposal and give feedback at that point in time. There are also 2 public hearings that go along with this. There's the Planning Commission hearing, and then there is a Board of County Commissioners hearing. At both of those hearings, there is public testimony, a time for public testimony to be taken. The Board of County Commissioners then makes the final decision on rezoning cases. The next process that I'm going to talk about is our subdivision platting process. This is a process that's gone through after all your uses and zoning are established. This is how you take that bigger property and divide it up into smaller lots. Where the lines are going, it's a very technical process, a lot of engineering, talk about traffic issues, drainage, grading. So much more technical than a rezoning process. There are also 2 public hearings that go along with the subdivision plat process. There's the Planning Commission again, and then the Board of County Commissioners again makes the final decision. And there is public testimony at both of those hearings. The last process that I'm going to talk about before we go on to talking about the actual cases is the site development plan process. That is the process where we actually get to see how the building is going to be constructed on the property. Where is it going to go? How is parking going to be laid out? What's the architecture going to look like? What is landscaping going to look like? We look at all of those things, how they meet our standards, the Jefferson County zoning resolution standards. We also look at more technical issues like drainage and traffic as well. This is an administrative process, which means it does not have any public hearing or public testimony times. The process is approved by the Director of Planning and Zoning. Next, I'm going to hand the microphone over to Anna so that she can start talking about some of the cases. I did want to let you know that we have just done a little smattering of the more interesting cases in the area in the presentation. We have a much larger list back at our table, so when we're done with the presentations, you can come back, visit with us, grab one of those handouts, and talk about some of the other cases that are going on.
Thank you, Heather. So the first types of cases that I'm going to talk about tonight are the pre-applications. As Heather was describing earlier, the pre-applications are basically meetings that a property owner or a potential developer basically just comes to our office and sits down with planning and zoning staff to discuss their proposal. The first pre-application meeting that I'm going to discuss was, you can see the vicinity map on the PowerPoint slide there. It's basically right off of South Turkey Creek Road and US Highway 285. This was a pre-application to rezone about 25 acres to allow a privately operated but membership-based public dog park. The status of this pre-application meeting is that they have not had a community meeting or a formal application at this point in time. The next pre-application meeting that we've had is right off of Eagle Cliff Road and 285, just north of the King Soopers shopping center. This was a pre-application to discuss a potential rezoning and plat of about a little bit over 40 acres to allow 120 residential lots as well as 1 commercial lot. The status of this one is also that they have not yet had a community meeting or a formal application. The next pre-application meeting is basically just there off of sort of a little bit, if you can see in the top corner where Heather's pointing at, that's 285 there, and South Elk Creek Road, but the property itself is off of Wombly Valley Road. This was a pre-application to discuss a plat of 45 acres into 4 home sites of approximately 10 acres each. The status of this is that there is no formal application at this time. The next pre-application meeting is right off of Light Lane and 285 as well, just west of the Safeway Shopping Center and east of Conifer High School. This pre-application was to rezone and plat the 25 acres that you can see there to allow for 113 residential lots and 1 community use lot. The status of this one is also that there has been no community meeting or formal application at this time. So that concludes the pre-application meetings that we wanted to discuss with you. The next we'll get into the site development plans, which Heather described as that sort of final process when you're getting ready to construct your commercial or industrial type use or multifamily. And that's when we take a look at the parking, architecture, landscape, and everything like that. So the first site development plan that we are discussing is right off of Settlers Drive and 285. And it's the Compassionate Dharma Cloud Monastery. This was a site development plan to construct a religious center of a little bit over 12,000 square feet on their almost 10-acre property. The status of this application is that they are on their 3rd referral. So the last SDP that I wanted to discuss, or site development plan, is in the Aspen Park area. It's at 285 and the Wolf Overpass, just east of J.J. Madwell's restaurant and across from the elementary school. This site development plan was to construct a self-storage building on the 1.16 acre site, and the first referral comments are currently being addressed by the applicant. So that concludes both the pre-application and the site development plans. I'm going to pass it off to Mike Madrid now to talk about the rest.
Thanks, Anna. So my name is Mike Madrid, Senior Planner with Jefferson County Planning and Zoning. I'm going to be going over a couple of the rezoning cases that are currently active in the area, as well as 2 of the plats that are currently under process in the area. The first rezoning case being 11873 Springs Road. This is called Green Valley Center ODP. Again, these rezonings are formally applied for. They're not like pre-applications. They're actually into the county for review by not only the county but other state and county agencies that review these rezoning processes. This is a rezoning to it's a rezoning from C1, it's the current zoning on the property is Commercial 1 or C1, to Mountain Residential 2 or MR2. And this is to allow for light industrial uses and, it's going to plan development, I just read your notes. Being rezoned to plan development to allow for light industrial uses, mini warehousing uses, and veterinary clinics. Currently, right now, I just received the first referral response from the applicant, and so they're entering into the second referral of this case. Yeah, this is right off of 285 and Springs Road. The next case is 8884 US Highway 285, again, right off of 285. As you see right here, where Anna's pointing, it's the parcel in pink that is under rezoning. This is a case to rezone from planned development to a different planned development, which would allow an event center. This parcel is roughly 52 acres in size. Currently, the hearings for the Planning Commission and the Board of County Commissioners have been scheduled for this case. The Planning Commission hearing date is October 11th. The Board of County Commissioners hearing date is October 31st. One more time, the Planning Commission hearing is scheduled for October 11th. That's at 6:15 p.m. at the County Building, the Taj Building, 100 Jefferson County Parkway. The Board of County Commissioners hearing is scheduled for October 31st, and that's held at 8 in the morning at the same building. The next rezoning I'll go over is 13700 South US Highway 285. You see it's just south along 285 past Pine Valley Road. This is a parcel on the edge of the county that is being rezoned to amend the current Parkview Plaza official development plan to expand the uses and the area of the parcel. Currently right now it's in the first referral period and no hearings have been scheduled for it. The last rezoning I'll go over is 10811 County Highway 73. You'll see on the aerial photo right here, it's right where County Highway 73 and 285 intersect, just to the west of 285. This property is currently zoned Mountain Residential 3 and Agricultural 2 and is rezoned to a planned development to allow for limited commercial uses. The size of the property is a bit less than an acre. Currently right now, the community meeting was held and the formal submittal has been accepted by the county. It's in currently what's called sufficiency review, which means it's been accepted by the county, but we still check to see that all of the documents that we require have been submitted to the county. So next I'll go over a couple subdivision plats that are currently in process at the county. This first one is 8417 Settlers Drive. This is close to the monastery site development plan that Anna discussed earlier on 285 and Settlers Drive, just near the fire station that's there. This is a plat to subdivide this 26.85 acre site into 7 lots of 2 acres for single-family detached units. Right now, it's already been through the first referral of the case, and the case manager is awaiting comments by the applicant. The last case I'll go over tonight is 7615 Cinch Court. This is located right south of 285. You see right here, it's those 2 parcels that are highlighted in red where Anna's pointing. This is a plat to subdivide 53 acres into 18 lots of at least 2 acres for single-family detached units. Currently, just like the last rezoning case that's in, the documents have been submitted to the county, but they're being reviewed by the case manager in a sufficiency review. And that will wrap up all of the cases that we have to show you tonight. Again, we're at that table in the back if you have any questions about any of the cases, and there are other additional cases on our list that we have on our handout that are occurring in the area. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather, Mike, and Anna. So, I mentioned a little bit earlier, Conifer Area Council is a non-political organization. We don't oppose or any development. We don't oppose or, like it and go to testify for it. What we do is we go out to the community. We've done several surveys. Hopefully some of you have done those surveys. We did one in 2006, one in 2010, one in 2014. Another one will be going out shortly. Please, those will be going out online. They'll be on our website, coniferareacouncil.org. But please, put your information in there so that we know what everybody wants. One thing we do know is that you all, maybe not everyone here, but people up here really want to maintain our mountain rural character. And the beauty and all of that. And obviously, some of the different Commercial is important because, so that we can have the amenities and everything. But anyway, so we get information from you on what you want, and then we give information back to you as far as what's going on up here. And obviously there's a lot going on right now, and the most important thing is for all of you to be very, very involved from the very beginning of the process. Because if you don't get involved at the very beginning, then it's all going to happen. So just please get involved. It's very important. Okay, our next speaker is actually on his way back from Montana. It is raining. He was fighting fires in Montana, and he's in a very big rainstorm. So he is on his way back. But Bill McLaughlin is going to talk about a couple things, and he's going to give a little bit of an update from Joe Sean Kennedy, what he was going to talk about tonight. So, Bill.
Thank you. Yes, Joe Sean Kennedy with the U.S. Forest Service is our local fire management officer, and he wanted to give everybody an update on their current fuels program. They've been working, they have a 20-person fuel crew that works on the forest, and they've been working the last 2 years to build piles. And basically what they're doing is working to thin the ponderosa pine forests. Those pine forests, typically when people don't put the fires out, they have a fire that comes through on average about every 30 years. And we're now at about 100 years of putting the fires out. So in order to make up for all those years of not having fire to reduce the fuel loading in the forest, they've been working by basically cutting trees, cutting young trees, and piling that material. Their plan is this winter to start burning more of the piles that they built. They had started with last winter. Unfortunately, as you probably are all aware, the weather conditions over last winter, we went through a pretty high fire danger through the entire winter. So they're hoping this year for better conditions that will allow both for the smoke to disperse and the flat piles to be burned safely. If you would like to be notified about the dates of the pile burning, you can email Joe Sean Kennedy at jskennedy@fs.fed.us, and I'll have this afterward if anybody wants to copy that. And he keeps an email notification for anybody who wants to be notified of when they're going to be burning. And again, that's all primarily down, on the forest, which is mostly, south of the river. One other thing that we have an update on from the fire district is that we did receive a grant to provide free chipping at people's homes, and that program is up and running. Basically, if you bring material out to the road, we'll come by and chip it for you. And that program is going to continue through the end of this year, and then we have funding for 5 months for next year as well. And again, there's no cost for that. You just get the material up there, let us know it's there, and then once it's chipped, you can do with the chip with the chip piles that you want. You can spread them, leave them, or haul them off. If you want, there are some flyers here on that chipping program, or you can go to the elkcreekfire.org website and sign up. There's a automated form that notifies the chipping crew, and then they can get you scheduled in for when they can be by to do that. This program is in addition to the current county slash program and to the slash drop-off sites. So we're trying to provide as many different opportunities for people to get rid of their slash as possible and help reduce the fire danger. Thank you.
And I made copies of a lot of the information that Bill just told you about. So I've got all the information on who you need to contact and how you can get on that list to be notified. There's also a few maps over here if you want to see where those piles are. Another thing kind of related to this is that Jeff Ravage is here tonight, and there is cost share funding for Conifer Meadows and Richmond Hill Road. So if you live in those areas, you might want to contact Jeff. He's just back there in the back with the hat and the red shirt. So you want to talk to him tonight too, okay? So next we have Zach Taylor to talk about Staunton State Park, and it sounds like there is so much going on there, and he's going to tell you a little bit about it. He wanted 2 hours actually to tell you everything, but here he is.
So yeah, I apologize for talking really fast because there is a ton of stuff happening at Staunton State Park. She did mention it. My name is Zach Taylor. I'm the park manager at Staunton. I've been there just over 2 years. January will be 3. I think I came out in September of 2015 and gave updates on where we were going with the park over there, which is really exciting. Through Great Outdoors Colorado and lottery funds, we've got supported construction in the park right now. So we're actually looking at about $4 million of construction that's happening. The park will turn 5 in May. And so that infrastructure and what we're talking about is about 7 miles of new trails, multi-use trails in the park. We already have a new maintenance facility that will support the park and the amenities that we already have between our maintenance staff, equipment, and then the materials that are basically necessary to operate a park of that size. We did acquire a new property just north of the park, about 160 acres this last August actually. That basically was, the only access to it was on a road through the park. And the homeowner was, the landowner was willing to sell it, and therefore came to us first and indicated that if we weren't interested in it, was going to sell it to the next highest bidder. And if that was the case, we would have had a public road going right through the middle of the park. So I put that in front of our the Capital Development Committee and presented our case as to why we were going to purchase it, and they agreed. I think it was 5-2 to go ahead and make that purchase. So we now have that extra property just north of the park that's it's surrounded by Forest Service. And what we're working on with them right now is doing a land swap, which will actually get all of our trails inside of Staunton State Park property. We do have about a quarter mile of trail that goes outside into the Forest Service right now that we can't manage. So part of Chief McLaughlin's speech is part of the fire management, fuels mitigation, and we can't do any management on that parcel at this time. So our hope is that we can get that moving forward, but as you know, government moves really fast, so that'll happen real soon. The other size of stuff that we've got, in addition to trails, is actually camping. We actually have 25 backcountry walking campsites on the ground right now. I was anticipating trying to get those open to the public in June of this year. However, in May, my ranger actually promoted to Yampa River up near Steamboat. So you're looking at half of the full-time staff. So I'm the only full-time, fully commissioned law enforcement officer at Staunton State Park. I actually received some additional funding from my agency for some additional staff. So I had about 12 temporary employees on with me this summer to manage 4,000 acres of land, 30 miles of trails. And we actually saw this last fiscal year a 42% increase in our revenue. So the park is growing. It's really fun to say and it's really fun to see. We are found, but it's a strain. So it's kind of fun. So we put a lot of emphasis on our volunteers. And certainly we've got a couple of them in the crowd. If you're interested, certainly get in touch with me. I'll be in the back. We'd love to have you, whether it's doing trail maintenance or sitting in the entrance and gaining some of that revenue for us, or just being knowledgeable about the park and having a conversation with the trailhead. We'd love to have you out there doing that. If you go into the park now, you'll actually be routed around kind of that main parking lot that we had. We're actually building a visitor center. So we're actually going to have a place where you can come inside and learn about the park. Through the Great Outdoors Colorado, we got the funding for it, and actually broke ground. We actually poured the footers for the foundation of the building this week. So we're excited to hopefully, as you know, state government moves really fast, open that guy this next spring. And actually have you guys come out, check it out. Actually was talking about perhaps holding one of these meetings at our visitor center. We have a nice multi-purpose room, about 1,200 square feet. It should suffice for about 100 to 120 people is the anticipated. It'll be standing room only, so you won't get to stand. I apologize for that. But it'll be a real nice facility at the park. And again, they'll provide offices and support for the staff as well as those that come to the park. I did want to mention, Chief McLaughlin talked about some of our mitigation that we've done recently. This last summer into last fall, we completed 177 acres of fuel mitigation. Part of that was on the Allen Dines property. If you've seen some of our previous maps, there was an 80-acre parcel right in the middle of the park that was privately owned. donated that parcel as well as his house to us in 2014. We got the process rolling. We were able to complete fuel mitigation inside that property. Not only in promoting the healthy stand with the aspen trees, the ponderosas, but removing mistletoe, as well as getting rid of a lot of the fuel. So Chief McLaughlin actually came up a couple months ago and endorsed the work, says that his crew can actually now come into the park, into that parcel, and fight a fire if we were to get a lightning strike or have a visitor conflict. So excited about having that and basically eliminating that neighborhood conflicts. You know, Conifer Mountain wants to start up, falls on fire, so it's great to have that fire break right in the middle of the park, certainly with increasing our visitation and population coming to the park, as well as now having those backcountry campsites probably this next spring. I want to let you guys all know I did designate, I personally asked my leadership if I could designate the campsites as backcountry, which basically means that I can eliminate campfires. So none of those campsites will have fire rings, fire pits, and we will not promote campfires at all in the sites. So my hope is, you're welcome to clap for that, absolutely. It's a big thing up here, and certainly that's something that we want to focus on. You know, like I said, 2.5 years at the park, and I've certainly heard that conversation. I know that the community and the neighborhood has had a big say in what we do at the park, and I appreciate that. So please bring me your comments, not your complaints, your comments, and I'll field it, because that's how I grow, it's how the park grows. So if you have an interest or an idea or something that can help the park or the community, let me know. I'd love to look into it. One of the last things I want to talk about is a new program that we fired off this last summer. It's our track chair program. Has anybody heard about this track chair program? Fantastic. We're glad to see a lot of hands being raised. Basically what this program is we provide motorized wheelchairs to disabled users that come to the park. Our nonprofit organization called the Friends of Staunton State Park held a fundraiser in August of 2016, and in one weekend raised $40,000. They were able to purchase 2 of these chairs for us, an enclosed trailer, and a whole bunch of equipment to support the program. So to date, we've had almost 120 visitors come out to the park with ranging in disabilities from being totally blind, quadriplegic, paraplegic, multiple sclerosis, and just not being able to make the actual hike. So we've got this program, I've got some brochures in the back. We'd love to talk more about it, but apparently I'm out of time, usually, thank you. So I'll be in the back, and you know, just up 285 Oak Creek Road. Come visit us at Staunton. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Wow, that was a lot less than 2 hours. In fact, he has lots more, so you want to talk to him for sure after the meeting. Okay, next we have Senator Tim Neville, and I don't know that Representative Tim Leonard is here at this point, right?
He'll be here any moment.
He'll be here any moment. Anyway, so Tim Neville's going to start. Little legislature update here.
Thank you, Shirley. Well, thank you all, folks, for especially for your continued support. And of course, we've got a few things going on in the legislature. Most people think that we meet from January till May, and we do our pass a lot of bills, or kill a lot of bills, that type of thing. And then the rest of the year, of course, we are citizen legislators, so we have jobs and everything else. But we also have interim committees, and we have year-round committees, so they keep us pretty busy. Tell you a little bit about, first of all, I serve on the Legislative Audit Committee, which is a year-round committee, and so we're always focusing on auditing all state government and departments to make sure that every dollar that you have is being spent wisely. It's a bipartisan committee, so it's evenly split among parties and also among the House and the Senate. So it's actually, I tell people it's my favorite committee because we really focus on making sure that we're getting the best bang for your dollar, your tax dollar. Many of you, and I know when Representative Leonard gets here, when Tim gets here, he's going to talk a little bit more too about the special session that you've heard about. That's going to be meeting in early October, at least 3 days in October. Don't want to really dwell on that, I'll leave that to Tim a little bit. I do want to talk about one of the key issues that we had come out today in a report was the release of the September revenue estimates for the state of Colorado, and that's extremely important because, come on up, Tim. We had the opportunity to see, and of course there's always this battle of, what do we need to actually accomplish what we want to do for the people of Colorado. Do we have the income, or do we need to raise taxes, put that on the ballot, whatever it might be? So the good news is that we're seeing the increase in revenue from this year till next year. The estimate is $636 million. That's the good news. Now, the challenge of the legislature is always to identify how that money is going to be spent. And as you can imagine, many people have many ideas on how they want to spend those dollars. One of the things that I know Tim and I have talked about quite a bit is, particularly we were just talking about today, 285, the need to actually fix and construct roads. And so one of the things that I want you to kind of think about is we've had some initiatives in the past, and I think there's general agreement that if we did the Tier 1 bonding for the next 20 years, it would require about a $300 million revenue per year to manage that over 20 years. And next year, $636 million, we need $300 million. I'll let you do the math and then stay tuned and we'll go from there and see. But I sure would love to make sure that we make building roads and fixing roads a priority in the state of Colorado, and we should do it probably right now. But there are going to be other needs too. Of course, we have education. We're going to hear more about prisons. We're going to hear about public retirement, public education retirement, or the public employment retirement fund, and needs there. And those will all be competing interests for that increase. And we'll have to go ahead and track that out. But I'll let Tim talk about special session a little bit. But one of the things that, actually, why don't you take that now, Tim, special session.
Great, and I'd like to fill in a little bit. That $600 million, the $300 million is the bond payment for $3.5 billion worth of roads that can get done. And so if you remember way back in the day of T-Rex, they called it, we issued bonds without a revenue increase, without increasing any taxes. That was $1.7 billion. So those were huge projects done in those days. Now the bonds are all paid off. And that was about $167 million a year that we're paying. So that goes back into CDOT to be able to maintain those roads. Obviously, it's going to be important to do it. So $3.5 billion is a lot of money, and that includes all these projects too. So that could be something that can be done if we could just allocate it and put it as a high priority. So that's a constant theme that we need. This special session that you've heard about, the governor's called it. We've only had, this will be the third one in about 10 years. So it's to solve a specific problem. And the problem that the governor has identified is the problem with one of, if not the last bill that was passed in this session. After 4 bills were debated, Senator Neville had one of them, which was a great transportation bill. This last bill is called Bill 267. You're going to hear that a lot. That was passed under a lot of duress. It was 74 pages of what's called a strike below, which is the day before it had to get voted on. A complete new bill came into being, and they had to go through 2 committees in the Senate and 1 committee, I think maybe 2 committees in the House, and without any changes, because any change would have pushed the bill out and not being able to be voted on. So it was very strong-armed. We were going till 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning on that, trying to get it fixed. It's an unconstitutional bill. It's being challenged right now. I voted against it because it's in Colorado statute, we have a constitutional mandate that every bill has to be a single subject. And this one had about 6 or 7, really 7 different things that it did in it. And one of the things that it did was raise marijuana tax, but raise it from 8% to 15%, but it got rid of 2.9%, which is our standard state tax. And so by getting rid of that, there's a couple of, like RTD and the cultural facility, that aren't going to get that 2.9% from marijuana shops that are in counties and districts that have marijuana shops. So it's not a lot of money. It's actually very little bit of money. But the governor thought it was necessary to do that because he's kind of a governor of Denver, and it was a Denver-oriented item. And so that's what's coming back on. And those are very expensive sessions to have. Has to bring all 100 legislators back, ramp everybody up for 3 days on October 2, 3, and 4 to be able to do it. So that's what the special session is all about, is to try to restore some of those. Unfortunately, all the horse trading that went on, one of the things that got horse traded out was this 2.9%, so it went down, the taxes went down after they went up. As usual, you could imagine, went up to 15%, but it relieved this 2.9. And so to reinstate that is going to need another vote of the people, because obviously it would be an increase in taxes. So that's going to be challenged. Many of us have said you can't raise taxes in Colorado without a vote of the people, so it's not just a fix. So you'll be hearing a lot about just fix it. People have already voted on it. Well, they did, they voted on it, but then we horse traded it, and it is what it is, and the legislature really doesn't have the legal authority to be able to fix that tax. So anyway, that's the inside game on that. You'll probably hear lots more about it. What else? Did you want to talk about free speech?
Just real quickly, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll make it quick here. Free speech on campus bill, you know, we passed that this past year, and I think it's a good thing we did. It was probably in a better time and a better place. We had 100 legislators. It was a bipartisan effort, and I was extremely happy to get that through and get support from everybody. It's one of those things, why do you need a bill to promote free speech? But we've seen what's happened over the last few months, and I think it's very critical that we have a bill that basically instructs our universities, particularly, and our colleges, our public universities and colleges, how to treat free speech accordingly, and make sure that everybody has their say. It's extremely important. One other thing, those of you that are in, we're doing something else, sales and use tax simplification. That's something we're working on in the off session too. We actually have a bill that's drafted to put out, I don't know how many of you are independent business people that have to file multiple sales taxes, so you know the horrors of Colorado. We're one of the worst in the country, and we are addressing that, and hopefully we'll have some very good news for you on single point of entry. Yeah, some very good stuff. So it's a matter of getting everybody together, and it's step by step by step. So that's the positive news, and like I said, I think we do have a lot of positive things that come out from your state legislature, and we'll keep working hard for you. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so lots of information tonight, and in your packets is a lot of information about the developments going on, and then Heather and Mike and Anna also have more information for you. But it has the case numbers and the case managers, so you can call the county at any time and check out anything. Hopefully you can go to the website and they have all the information on that to see what exactly is going on, see when the meetings are, when you can go down and testify if you'd like, and all of that. One thing that Angela has tonight is King Soopers cards. So I guess Carol has those at the door. So anybody that would like those, they've got $2.50 on them, but you can get those for free, and if you just use those, you put the money on King Soopers, they don't cost anything to use, but it does go a small percentage goes to Conifer Area Council to keep doing town hall meetings and working on trails and getting the survey out and all of those things. The survey, again, is going to be coming out probably in the next month or two, so please be watching for that. We hope that everybody will answer those questions so that we know what you are interested in and what you want to do. And I would like to, again, thank Tasman's Organics and Cosmic Kitchen for supporting their community support of this town hall meeting. I'd like to thank Melissa Baker for, she's looking around like who? But for taping the meeting. That will be on My Mountain Town. And thank you so much all for coming, and please stick around and talk to everybody that's here about everything and anything that you would like to talk to them about. Thank you very much.